Hey, Brenda. I heard you came over to our place today?
Yeah, I stopped by for a little while. I wanted to ask your mother to teach me how to make your brother's favorite recipe. Oh, yeah, I almost forgot. On the way to your house, I stopped by that shop you really like and brought you some sweets. You can have some when you get home tonight.
Thanks, I guess. I liked those sweets a few years ago, but I'm not so crazy about them now.
Oh, really? I'm sorry, I had no idea. Your mother told me you liked them, so I thought I'd buy a few for you.
Don't worry about it. It happens all the time. If I tell my parents or aunts that I like something, they always get the wrong idea. Just because I liked it once doesn't mean I'm going to love it forever.
That's so true. My grandmother's the same way. Even now, when I go over for a visit, she always makes me the things I loved to eat when I was a kid.
Right? But, Brenda, it won't be long before you're doing the same thing. I mean, you're 5 years older than my brother, so as far as I'm concerned, you're an old lady.
That may be true. I mean, I am 10 years older than you, so I can understand why you'd think that.
No, seriously though. If someone had told me that my brother was going to marry an old lady someday, I would have said no way. He is super good looking, and he's always been popular with girls ever since he was in elementary school.
Really? I had no idea he was so popular.
Are you kidding me? You've seen what he looks like. Honestly, I have no clue why he married you. Oh, does he have a thing for mature women? If so, that would explain it.
He's never mentioned anything about that to me.
I gotta say, you're pretty brave, Brenda, marrying a younger guy when you're practically over the hill. That takes guts.
I don't think it was that big of a deal. I mean, we're only 5 years apart. We know married couples who are even further apart in age, so I guess that's why I never thought it was strange.
Oh, is that so? I guess your friends are just as shameless as you.
Calling them shameless is a little harsh, don't you think? It's not like they're 10 or 20 years apart. Does a little age difference really bother you that much? Once you become an adult, age stops being such an issue, wouldn't you agree?
Not at all. It's a big issue for me. I can't have a conversation with someone who's a lot older than me. We just don't see eye to eye. Ask anyone. Hanging out with friends who are all the same age is the best.
Well, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. Oh, right. There's something I wanted to talk to you about. Your mother told me that your boyfriend proposed to you. Congratulations. I want to wish you two all the best.
Thank you. Did my mom tell you about my fiancé?
She didn't tell me all the details, but she did say that although he's young, he's already managing his own company.
Yes, that's right. Don't you think that's amazing, considering we're the same age?
Of course I do. It takes a lot of bravery to run your own business, and he must be very talented as well. Come to think of it, I know someone just like that. I've never met your fiancé, but I can imagine what he's like.
Your friend is nothing like my fiancé. Not only is he really good at his job, but he's also incredibly handsome. I posted our photo on SNS and people called us a beautiful couple.
That's so sweet. You must really suit each other. I can't wait for the wedding. You'll be bringing him home to meet the family next week, right?
That's right. Mom is going to be so surprised when she sees him in person. Wait a second, Brenda. You're not planning on coming over next week to meet him, are you?
Your mother invited me, but it turns out I have to work that day, so I can't make it, unfortunately.
That works out perfectly then. Even if you didn't have work, I wouldn't have wanted you to come anyway. I don't want him to think that I have an old lady like you as a relative.
Katie, I know you don't think of me as part of your family, but that's not a nice thing to say to anyone, family or otherwise.
Excuse me? Are you really going to lecture me right now? Who I want to introduce my fiancé to is my choice. I don't want some old lady I barely know butting in and telling me what to do. Just stay out of it.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to butt in, and I have no intention of telling you what to do. I just hope that one day you'll accept me as family. I'm going to keep trying my best, you know.
That's never going to happen, so you might as well stop trying. And also, I don't want you coming over to my house anymore. I'm sure the only reason you come over is so that you can suck up to my mom, but don't just show up whenever you feel like it because you were invited. You're like my least favorite person, so whenever I hear that you've been over, it's a real downer. Hey Brenda, did you receive my wedding invitation? I sent it to you the other day, so you should have got it already.
Yes, it arrived today. You picked a really famous venue. I'm looking forward to it.
No, please don't start looking forward to anything. The thing is, I don't want you to come.
What?
I wrote your name on my brother's invitation because you're married and all, but the truth is, I don't want you there.
So you're telling me to not show up at your wedding? Is that right?
Exactly.
But won't it seem strange if I don't go to the wedding with my husband? I mean, he's expecting us to go together. Sending him to the wedding on his own is not going to be easy.
Can you please just lie to him or something? For all it's worth, you've lived a longer life than the rest of us. You should be full of wisdom and whatnot. Why don't you draw from all that life experience and come up with a clever excuse? Just pretend to get sick on the day of the wedding or something. Come on, there's all kinds of stories you could make up to get out of going to the wedding.
Well, you are the one who sent me the wedding invitation, so if you don't want me to come, I'll try my best to get out of it, but to be honest, I don't think it's a good idea. Your mother and father are going to be surprised if I don't show up, and I really don't want to lie to my husband. I'm perfectly fine with not attending your wedding if that's what you want, but what you're asking me to do is going to shock and confuse a lot of other people as well.
It's my wedding, isn't it? Who I invite is entirely up to me and no one else. Why should I have to take orders from you?
You have a point. It's your wedding after all. But if you don't want me to come, can I at least ask you to explain the reason to your family? I don't think it's right to make me come up with some elaborate story to get out of attending your wedding. Your family should hear it from you.
Hey, Brenda, the reason is obvious, isn't it? I don't want some old lady showing up at my wedding. All my friends are young and beautiful, and one of them actually had a crush on my brother in the past. They would all be shocked if they saw who he ended up marrying. And besides, I don't want you in the family photo. I want to cherish the memories of my wedding forever. Do you really want to ruin this once-in-a-lifetime experience for me?
Of course not. I have absolutely no intention of ruining your wedding.
If that's so, then shut up and stay home. I don't want to listen to you complain endlessly about how it's not right or whatever. You're an eyesore. It's as simple as that.
It's true that I'm older than you and your brother, and I'll never be as glamorous as a younger woman. But are you really only judging me based on my looks?
That's exactly what I'm doing. Do you have a problem with that?
I don't think it's right to judge people based only on appearances, Katie.
If you could take a good look at my face right now, you'd understand. When it comes to looks, I've always been a perfect 10. Even after I graduated and started working, I never hung out with anyone as boring and unattractive as you. Let me tell it like it is. You're a disgrace to my family. I think of you as a nasty stain on a pure white wedding dress that refuses to wash out.
Oh, is that so? Well, in any case, I'll do my best not to show up to your wedding. It's your special day, so you should have the ceremony you want, right?
Thanks for understanding. You're the one who had the nerve to marry my brother looking the way you do. Backing off when you're told is the least you can do. If an old hag like you shows up at my wedding, it will be completely ruined. What the hell, Brenda? I just saw you at the entrance to the wedding hall. What do you think you're doing?
Oh, yes, about that. I'm so sorry. Something came up, so here I am.
My wedding is about to start, and all of a sudden I see this old hag show up at the front door. An old hag who has not even been invited, oh, by the way. Go home already! Are you trying to ruin my wedding?
I had no intention of ruining your wedding. Like I said, something came up that made it necessary for me to attend the wedding.
What do you mean, something came up? I told you not to come, didn't I? I thought you agreed that today was my special day and that you'd disappear if that's what I wanted.
That's what I agreed to do, but it turns out that I'll be attending the wedding today. Not as a guest of the bride, but as a guest of the groom. The truth is, I received a wedding invitation from your fiancé, too. So I came as his guest.
What? I have no idea what you're talking about. Why in the world would my fiancé send you a wedding invitation? You know what? I don't even want to know. Just hurry up and get out of here, you old hag. I've worked too hard to make this wedding absolutely perfect. It's my special day, so get out of my sight.
I don't know, Katie. I think things are going to get complicated if you send me home right now. Are you sure you're not going to regret it?
Why the heck would I regret it? I'll regret it more if I let you stay.
Okay. If you put it that way, I'll leave. I'm sorry I gave you such a fright by showing up today. But, Katie, whatever happens as a result, I can't cover for you. Not anymore.
There is nothing, not a single thing, that I will need you to cover me for. You really are messed up in the head, aren't you? My wedding is no place for an old hag like you. Why don't you go home and take a good look at yourself in the mirror? Maybe then you'll realize that this is not where you belong, you wrinkly hag. Good morning, Brenda. It's me, Katie.
Oh, Katie, good morning.
I wanted to apologize for making you leave the wedding ceremony yesterday. I can't believe I did such a ridiculous thing. I truly regret it.
No worries, no offense taken. I was the one who agreed not to come at first, so if anything, I should be apologizing to you for showing up unexpectedly.
No, there's no need for you to apologize. I had no idea that my fiancé was so indebted to you. He told me how much you helped him when he was having trouble with his business.
We were actually working in the same industry at the time. I wanted to help him because he's such a talented businessman. Not only that, but he's also honest and full of drive. He's the kind of person everyone wants to root for, wouldn't you agree?
I also had no idea that you managed your own company, too. You must have been really amazing.
Just because someone manages a company doesn't make them an amazing person. And besides, haven't we already had this conversation about my work? I'm pretty sure I told you all this when we first met.
To tell you the truth, I wasn't really paying attention when you told me.
Well, that's to be expected, I guess. I probably gave you quite a shock when we first met, considering what a boring and unattractive old lady I am. I'm sure you couldn't accept the fact that your brother would bring someone like me home as his wife.
No, not at all. In fact, I think you are quite beautiful for your age.
Oh, please, Katie, you don't have to take back what you said. I'm an old lady, that's the undeniable truth.
I'm so sorry. I said some really horrible things. There is no excuse for the way I acted. I am truly very sorry.
Please, don't worry about it. It's all in the past.
Does that mean that you forgive me for all the things I've done?
Oh, you mean how you treated me with disrespect and verbally abused me when your family wasn't looking?
Yeah.
About all that, I've decided to quit the whole I forgive you, I don't forgive you routine.
What exactly do you mean by that? Are you saying that if you forgive me, you don't really mean it, and if you don't forgive me, you don't really mean that either?
It means that I've decided to cut ties with you completely.
Huh?
You're my husband's little sister, and he loves you very much, so I wanted us to get along, but I think that we can't help but be drawn to some people and turned off by others. Forcing myself to get along with you would be pretty shameless, don't you agree?
I wouldn't call it shameless. I mean, I don't think that at all.
That's what you've called me before, wasn't it? I've put up with you all this time because I wanted my husband's sister to like me. But I've had it. I'm cutting ties with you for good. I'm really sorry that I dragged it out for so long. I should have done this ages ago.
Actually, about that, I've completely changed the way I think about you, Brenda. First off, my fiancé told me what an amazing person you are. And then my parents and my brother got really mad at me for the way I treated you. I also heard that you helped pay for the cost of the wedding ceremony. There's so much I didn't know. I'm so sorry.
It's not a big deal, since I never expected you to feel grateful toward me.
Brenda, can we just try to get along from now on? My fiancé was devastated when he found out what I did to you. I mean, he's taking it really hard. He asked you to make a speech at the ceremony, right?
Jimmy already called me to apologize, I heard you had someone else make the speech, so no harm done, right? If anyone had a hard time, it was the person who had to come up with a speech on the day of the ceremony.
No, you're right. It was so wrong of me. I'm really, really sorry. Actually, since the ceremony finished yesterday, I haven't been able to get a hold of my fiancé. He won't answer his phone, and he doesn't return my texts. Have you heard anything about it from him?
Jimmy hasn't mentioned you at all, but, he's got a strong sense of responsibility when it comes to these kinds of things. He's probably doing a lot of thinking about it right now and just needs some space. I told him not to worry about me, but like I said, it's not in his nature to let things slide so easily.
Brenda, this is just a hunch, but when I sent you the wedding invitation, you knew exactly who my fiancé was, didn't you? I mean, his name was clearly written on the invitation. Why didn't you say anything then? If you had said something about it earlier, none of this would have ever happened.
How exactly was I supposed to tell you that I knew your fiancé? Should I have said something like, "Hey, Katie, your fiancé and I go way back, so you better let me come to your wedding"? Do you think that would have worked? Or maybe I should have told Jimmy that his bride-to-be is actually my sister-in-law who hates my guts. Would that have been better? Would that have been better?
No, I guess that wouldn't have been better. But there must have been other, less offensive ways to let me know.
Believe me, I thought long and hard about what I should have done. For starters, I didn't feel comfortable about letting you know because I had no idea what you had told him about me. If you had been bad-mouthing me to Jimmy, it would have been embarrassing for you to find out that I was his good friend. Also, I thought that if I showed up to the wedding and started talking to your fiancé, you would have realized that we've known each other for a long time. That's why I decided not to say anything. It would have made things unnecessarily complicated.
Well, things are pretty complicated now, aren't they? If you had told me right away, I wouldn't be in this mess.
Come on, Katie, if I had told you the truth from the start, would you have believed me? You didn't even believe me when I told you that your fiancé invited me to the wedding, did you?
Yeah, well, I kind of lost my cool there. That's why you should have told me beforehand.
You probably didn't think you were being that obvious when you treated me so badly, but your mother and father sure noticed. And my husband knew about your nasty attitude towards me because I had gone to him for advice about it. When I told him that I wasn't going to attend the wedding, he had planned to get the whole family together to tell you off.
Huh?
But a wedding ceremony is a once-in-a-lifetime event, right? I didn't want to ruin that for you, so I asked him to just let you have your way. Right after that, Jimmy contacted me about the wedding. All his other friends were going to be there. I couldn't be the only one to refuse his invitation. That's why I decided to attend. I wanted to tell you, but your parents told me not to bother.
But it was my wedding, my special day.
Your family was nice enough to tell me that you were being a spoiled brat and that I didn't have to go along with your selfish demands. Besides, Jimmy was the one who had invited me. Despite my best efforts to smooth things over, it ended up a big mess. For that, I apologize.
Please tell my fiancé that you've forgiven me. He's probably going to cancel our engagement. After you left the wedding, my brother got really angry and started talking about what I had done right in front of my fiancé. That's how he found out about everything.
Oh, that's how it happened then. Well, your brother wasn't lying about what you did out of spite, you know. It was all true.
If you tell my fiancé that you forgive me, he's sure to call me back. I'm begging you. Brenda, please get in touch with him and tell him everything is okay now.
I'm already doing everything I can. I told you before, didn't I? No matter what happens, I'm not covering for you anymore.
But my marriage is at stake here. We already went through with the ceremony and everything. What if it all goes to waste?
Look, Katie, you're my husband's little sister, so I was determined to put up with all your abuse, no matter how hurtful it was. Do you think that I was fine with all those horrible things you said about me?
Yeah, well, I apologized about that, didn't I? You said yourself that it was all in the past.
But I never said that I would forgive you. I simply said I wasn't going to worry about it anymore because it's in the past. You obviously love your brother, but you hate me. And you're the kind of person who thinks that hating someone justifies destroying their self-esteem with ruthless jokes about their appearance. I'm going to be frank with you, Katie. I hate people like that. That's why I refuse to do anything for you anymore.
Brenda, I'm so sorry. I'm really, really sorry. I promise to never say anything mean to you ever again.
I don't believe anyone who only apologizes once they've been backed into a wall. You've got to face the music and be honest with Jimmy. And you've got to do it alone. That's the last piece of advice you're going to get from this old hag, so you better take it to heart. After that, my sister-in-law and Jimmy met up to talk things over. Apparently, she showed him all the texts that she had sent me. He was shocked by the stark difference between the Katie he thought he knew and the girl who sent those texts. So much so that he fell into an even deeper depression as a result. In the end, he called off the engagement. I was also quite depressed for a while, wondering if I had done something unforgivable. But rather than blame me for what had happened, my husband and parents-in-law consoled me, saying that Katie got exactly what she deserved. Also, Jimmy told me that he was glad Katie revealed her true colors before they submitted the marriage documents and made it official. He said he was thankful that he dodged a bullet, but honestly, I feel horrible that I was at the center of this whole mess. Once the engagement was called off, Katie locked herself away in her room, refusing to leave the house for any reason. My parents-in-law said that she was being a spoiled brat and forced her to move into her own apartment. After she moved out, she got a part-time job and was barely making ends meet. It may have been the frugal lifestyle she was living, I don't know, but at some point she had a change of heart. A year later, she came to me and apologized again for all the terrible things she had done. I was shocked to see her after such a long time. After she locked herself in her room, she stopped taking care of herself, refusing to eat proper meals or exercise. As a result, she became completely unrecognizable. Her appearance had changed so much that if you saw her, you'd never assume she used to be such a glamorous young lady. I don't know if her change in appearance was the reason, but all her friends abandoned her. They even made fun of the way she looks. Now that she knows what it feels like, my sister-in-law has come to truly regret what she's done. I told my parents-in-law and my husband that Katie and I came to a truce, and since then we've been getting together for family dinners. And I even started hanging out with her again. Now Katie is helping me with my business, and we get along so well that it's hard to imagine how much she hated me before. Occasionally, she'll make comments about my clothing like, "That dress makes you look like an old lady," but I appreciate all the fashion advice I can get. Now that my sister-in-law and I can talk about anything and everything together, I've grown quite fond of her. I've decided that from now on, I'll be there for her whenever she needs me.